Hey everybody, KC here. So I'm doing something right now that I haven't done in at least 20 months, and it may be a little longer than that. I'm actually going to go to a movie theater. And I have not been inside a movie theater since before the pandemic began. And it's interesting, you know, I used to see, 2-3 dozen movies a year. I'd go to the movies. And so it's been a long time. And thank goodness for streaming, right? Because I was able to actually watch a lot of movies at home. And that's been sort of a godsend. New movies, old movies, that sort of thing. But the movie I'm going to see today, and I have to say that this is the one I really was willing to go back to the movie theater for. The movie I'm going to see today is the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die. And I'll review it in Offbeat. But I really wanted to see this movie in the theaters. I picked a 4 o'clock show on a Thursday, figuring it wouldn't be too crowded. I was a little careful. I got my mask, I've got my wipes, I've got some hand sanitizer, so I'm all loaded down with that sort of thing. I kind of hope there are other people in the theater, just not anybody who sits real close to me. And I've sort of prepared for that because I actually bought 2 tickets, even though I'm going by myself. So I'll have a little bit of space on to the side of me to make sure that I was appropriately distanced. I will continue to report on this experience, but I got to admit, I'm kind of excited. It's kind of like a big deal. If you love going to the movies, it's going back to a movie theater after this long. It's kind of exciting. All right, I'm headed home from the movies, and I have to say, it was totally cool. It was fun. I would say there's about 120 seats in the theater, and there were maybe 15 people in the theater, so I timed it right. Lots of space. At no point did I feel crowded in. I mean, I've been to a Dodger game at Dodger Stadium. It was much worse than this, although it was outside. I have to say, I really enjoyed going to the movies in a theater. I discovered I miss trailers. I don't miss the ads so much, and it's so loud. I have to say that's something that takes a little time to get used to. If you're not used to the fact that movies are just louder because there's enormous speaker systems, right? And so that was sort of interesting, But I do have to wonder. I think for a Bond movie, and as I said, I'll review it below in Offbeat. For a Bond movie, Marvel movie, Star Wars, Star Trek, that kind of stuff, big stuff like that. I think there's still obviously a great place for the traditional movie theater. I think it makes a lot of sense because there's something about the big screen. But I also think that there are an awful lot of movies that they don't necessarily need to be seen on the big screen. Now I recognize there's a magic about the big screen for people who are in the movies, people who are writing, directing, and producing the movies. I get that. But I do think that's one of the ways in which the whole business model has got to be rethought. That just because it used to be a certain way doesn't mean it's always going to be that way in the future. So big Bond movies makes a lot of sense. Little romantic comedies, not necessarily, although I also recognize that the movie business is going to have to rethink the economics if they're going to make that work, right? You can't pay somebody $25 million or $30 million to be in a romantic comedy if the back end in terms of box office receipts are not going to be there. It'll be interesting to see how the movie business sort of rethinks their business model. But listen, I had a good time going to the movies, but I have to say, I wonder if there'll ever be a time again where I go to 25 or 30 or 35 movies a year. I just don't know. I kind of miss it, but I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what's on my mind. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.